I think my fish get up earlier than I do.
What I wonder about is, do fish ever not get up? Do fish sleep?
Fish, everything has to sleep. You're a
I
scientist, right? Everything has to sleep. I just wonder, like, how that works because I come in and they're always floating around. It's like, gosh, do you guys ever stop? I know sharks sleep. Oh no, sharks don't sleep. Right. They never stop. They're constantly moving.
well, I think they have to move to be able to breathe or something. I don't know
Our
enough about it.
listeners clearly know we are not ichthyologists.
That would be a very true statement.
He's Dewey Freeman. I'm Mark Sylvester with the
Good
Elder
morning, sir.
Council. So you had a great lunch and a great conversation this week. Tell me about
I had an incredible lunch with Trevor Boehm. It was one of the most kind, creative, intimate conversations that I've had with anybody in a very long time.
it. Mm.
And really, really loved what the lunch was. Usually we have lunch and it's like an hour and a half, and it's always great. But this was like 3.5 hours, and it was like, oh, we
Mm.
we probably should, wrap up and go do our thing. A huge piece of it was, it's like, what can we do, especially in the men's work, but also all work, as we actually were talking about expanding to work with women as well as men. And um, but his desire and my desire for a while has been, what can we do to go to the next level?
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
what can we do to get beyond just, okay, there's polarities out there, or there's this archetype, or there's this process of how do you connect with somebody? It's like, what can we do to um, take it to the next level? And I've had a very, very deep yearning to do that. And I'm not 100% sure what that really looks like.
Isn't
Um,
that what's interesting though? To me, Mr.
yeah.
Curiosity, it was explained to me by uh, Dr. Keith that we climb up. When you say what's the next level, it's literally if we climb up this mountain of learning and we get to this spot and then we've got there and then we go for a while. At some point, we want to start going up again,
Mhm.
right? And when you say you don't know what it looked like, yeah, you haven't gotten there yet, right?
Well, I think it's a little bit of the Boyd Vardy perspective of, I don't know where I'm going, but I know how to get there. Um, but there's something inside me that is just uh, yearning to do that. And um, what it feels like is something around intimacy and attachment and very high level relational process. And again, I'm not 100% sure how that's going to play out. Um, there's a piece though of being able to move away from all of the cliches about, well, here are these three things to do if you want your relationship to deepen, or what do we need to do to create polarity in male female relationships. And it's like, I don't know that I want to even look at that much anymore, of the masculine and the feminine and the polarity. It's more like, how can we be deeply, deeply grounded in nature and connection and relationship, and let whatever needs to happen evolve, instead of trying to make something evolve.
You are a black belt. I am a black belt. And
Agreed.
you were not given that black belt. You earned that black belt.
That
And
I would agree
you
with too.
had to demonstrate proficiency in some number of hundred individual skills, self-defense and throw form and takedown and kicks and punches and all the things with me. I don't know why I always remembered it was 236 things I had to test out at.
No kidding.
Yeah, over period of 3 years to be able to get to my black belt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we have to develop these skills, and I think in men's work there are all these things you need to learn, and you teach this. You teach how to work, in these groups, but you as the sensei, as Obi-Wan, need to, or maybe not need to, you're at, you got at that level. You became black belt years ago. And what I love about being black belt is you have the skills, and they're not basic, they're advanced skills.
Completely. Yeah.
And yet when you become a black belt, you learn that it's just beginning for you, and to find the peace within all of that. Grandmaster would always say, find the thing in there that you loved the most. For Kimberly, it was weapons work. She loves weapons work. And so she has advanced in weapons work and
Mm,
found that thing. And for for me with cooking, which is I'm a black belt at cooking, and I look at the things
absolutely.
in there that I like, that I want to get better at. And whereas I wouldn't ever advise around being selfish, in this case, I would say, what is the part of the work? Because I want to talk about work as we go on. What's the
Yeah.
part of the
Yeah.
work?
I'm really open to that today.
What's the part of the work that you love, and follow that?
Are you asking that, or is that
Yeah.
sort of a general statement?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think in general, for people, because I want to dive into work a bit today, and this is you, this your entire life has been doing this kind of work, and for the last several years has been focused on men's work, and through a mutual relationship we have, and now as people see,
Hmm.
oh, how advanced you are, they bring you into their communities, right? And you travel, you do lots of work, these small group workshops, which you really, really love. And I'm going to guess, because you've been doing a lot of those, they have the same kind of vibe to them. You're like, okay, what's next? So I think you find out what's next for you, and they will follow into that, is a feeling I have about it.
Actually, I think that you're accurate with that. And it's interesting because we were talking, it's like there are similarities in each small group, but in each small group, the level of one of the things I love is in working with people, and in this case, men, is the level of creativity that um, that can happen. So it's like on the outside, it's like, yeah, there's an initiation, and there's excuse me, there's like 30 men, 30-ish men. But what happens in that container can be so deeply creative. And that's what I yearn for. That's the piece that keeps me going. And it's not that uh, it's like, okay, here are the basics. It I mean, a little bit ago you were talking about martial arts and black belts, and it's like in my learning, my training in martial arts, it's like there are foundational pieces, and those are really important. And the level of creativity that when that foundation is there that we can bring in is that's where the juices are for me.
Let me take one step because I said there were 236 skills. I asked Grandmaster once how many skills there were. And he said, oh, there's easily more than 5,000.
Wow.
And I said, this is in Hapkido, which is a blend of Taekwondo and Aikido, and he's a grandmaster at. He says, but I curated the 236 that I believe are required for you to get to this level. And then there are levels of black belt, of which Kimberly is a fifth dan and I'm a second dan, and she's, doing
No
that.
kidding.
Yeah. But what's interesting about that is he tells us now's the time for you to make it your own. Make this art your own, recognizing that we're all such different people and how to now make this. He doesn't want a bunch of clone warriors that all do the same thing. It's how do you make it your own? And I think with you, your work in attachment theory and your work, I love watching videos of you and horses. I'm amazed every time I see that. I just like, oh yeah. I mean, you've made all of those skills your own. And what I think is very interesting at our age, that we still yearn to learn more so we can do more, so we can teach.
Yeah. And with what you're saying, the learning and doing more feels right. It's also this part of it's like I want to learn deeper.
Mm.
There, that keeps being the word that comes in. It's like how can I take what I know and what I've been learning for years and deepen that into a process that is helpful to people. I'm not quite, mm, that's sort of the precipice that I'm sitting on right now. And it's not that I feel like I haven't been doing that. It just feels like there's another level.
What's interesting in the work that you do, right? Because each one of these, the word now is initiations, right? These
Hmm.
4-day workshops are initiations, and you do so many of those intensives. They're, short bursts, full immersive, full. They're very. I'm so glad I got to experience one of those. Um, you said at one time you want to stop working with white belts, and we use martial analogies all the time, you and I, because that
Hmm.
really, and I find I do that multiple times a week when I'm coaching. I'm wondering if you, because one last piece, I look at each of those sessions as laboratories. So I look at those as ways for you to continue to work on the experiments. The human condition is an experiment,
Hmm.
to continue working on the experiment, and it's a laboratory. I wonder if the people you're working with, you need black belt level problems, not white belt level problems. And that being challenged to work with though that level wouldn't have necessitate you having a deeper understanding and having to move yourself
Hmm.
forward more. And what I love about the lab is when the experiment goes wrong, right? It's clearly when we learn, oh, you know, and I'm not the failure guy. Hey, move fast and break things and fail stuff. It's just that the nature of doing things in a laboratory is you, oh, huh. We observe with interest.
Well, and
And I
one,
wonder what you think when I'm saying that. Am I on the right
well,
track?
you're totally on the right track. What I love about what both you and I do is, and I agree with you. It's not like, oh, let's just go break things, but we cannot grow unless we take a risk. We do not know what's going to happen when we take that risk, and we do that from, in Gestalt work, we call it an experiment.
Hmm.
We don't know what that experiment's going to be.
Hmm.
And so you make up the experiment as you go. I mean, that's part of what the art of the work is. Just like in improv, it's like everything's an experiment. You don't know where it's going to go. So part of what that means is it's interesting. On one level, you can't do anything wrong if it's an experiment, because the
Exactly.
experiment happens and it's like,
Exactly.
okay, there's a piece of information.
Exactly.
But on the on the on the other hand, to really take a step forward, we I believe that we have to take risks, knowing that we will fail on some of it.
Can I change the sentence a little bit?
Yes, please.
Knowing that we might fail.
Yes, yes.
I don't want to look forward to failure. I want to look forward to, for me, because I cook, 4 days a week for four lovely families. I they love it when everything's the same. They take a thing and they love it. And for me, it's like, okay, I've nailed coconut shrimp. I've got it done. And the first three or four times was like getting it just to the exact right spot.
Mhm, mhm.
But now that I have it, it's like I become unconsciously competent at that thing.
Right.
And I like being in our listeners know when we talk about unconscious incompetence, conscious
Mhm.
incompetence, in unconscious incompetent, all of them. I can't even think of all now. But I like the part where and it sounds like you're at that, you are consciously incompetent in the sense that there's stuff you don't know.
Right.
And as you learn it, and we learn it in the lab, that's where we go, oh, okay, oh, okay, I got that. And then you become unconsciously competent at it. And it's what's interesting to me is when we when we're aware that I'm aware I'm unconsciously incompetent right now. It's like, oh, okay. That means I'm consciously, I know there's stuff I don't know. Okay, what are the things I don't know? That's kind of where I start, right?
Mhm.
Those, gosh, there's deeper flavors I could get here. There's more nuanced stuff there. There's
Right.
maybe some efficiencies I could do. There's maybe, right. And so now I have an intentionality around learning that thing. So I come into this experiment where I can start to say, what works and what doesn't work. And I'm curious if you're in that spot right now. Because you don't know what you don't know, right? But you're yearning for that thing. Did I get any of that right?
No, you're like right on. And one of two things, like my mind is sort of blowing up here. One is you are such an expert in as a chef that you know enough to tweak something with some one little spice or one little flavor, and that would make whatever you're making 10 times better. Like if I were cooking, it would be okay, I can put some salt and pepper in this, maybe, and maybe not ruin it. So the level of skill is incredible. So I want to just bookmark that for a minute. Roger Federer, do you know who he is? The
Sure.
master level tennis player. I saw a short clip of him and he was giving a speech. I think it was a graduation speech. And he said, I've won 80% of my games, but do you know, one of his questions was, do you know how many points I won percentage wise? He won only 53 to 54% of his points, which means he lost almost half of the time on a point. And 54% is world class, which is
Mhm.
mind blowing to me.
Mhm.
What that means is that, you know, what he was talking about was that when a point didn't go his way, he could not hang on and go, oh, I messed up, or I did this, I did that. It was like he said, every point I need to start over. And there's a thing in all of this where it's like, unless we're truly able and allow ourselves to go, okay, I tried that and that wasn't quite it, and allow ourselves to be creatively open, which is what I've seen you cook. I've seen you, and you are creatively open in
Mm.
what you do. And, um, and there's something in there that I think is a really big deal. And I'm not quite sure how to put it other than that, but it's it's knowing what we know, but not relying on it, or relying only on it. And there's something that the more competent we become in something, the less we fully, the more possibilities that we can see, and the more that we actually know that we don't know hardly anything. You really want to look at it that
There's a couple of things in there. One is that when we become unconsciously competent, and to your point, when I'm cooking, I'm in a flow state. I just, for one, I love going to a farmer's market because I do not know what I'm going to find. I know there will be food at the farmer's market. I
way.
know that.
Exactly.
And I will
They're selling
find,
something.
yeah, and I will find things, and I may have a general idea of my menu, and I'm looking for things to fit the menu until I see this big kombucha squash, and I'm like, okay, I could, with that. And
Hmm.
we've
Hmm.
talked about trusting our ability, right? And trusting our, our ability to do those kinds of things. So like take a risk. I don't know. I've never, God, I had that huge kombucha squash when we were in Kauai together that last time.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like, I don't exactly know how long that thing's going to take to cook, or how it's just like, I've never worked with a thing like that. I have general clue. Like I have all the principles in mind, but I think it's that trusting yourself that you're going to be
Yes.
fine. Now, bookmark that to say when I'm going to do something I've never done before, excuse me,
Hmm.
still trusting yourself that you'll get through that thing. It's like when go back to our earlier analogy, where we're climbing up this hill of knowledge of learning a new skill, and we plateau, and at some point that we feel stagnant or stale or bored, or is this all there is? And then until we go, oh, there's another hill to climb right there.
Hmm.
And every time we climb a hill, we can get a loose rock. I'm going to see how far I can go with this metaphor. We hit a loose rock and fall back down. We can, we trust our ability to climb hills, right? Because we want to get to that next level of whatever that new thing, that new vista, that new gosh, I've never been here before. What's this like up here? And I feel comfortable with it. So it's that deep trust in our ability. Like if you didn't trust your ability to climb, you're going to hit that new level and you go, yeah, that looks too steep. That looks too tall. That looks too hard. I'm too tired. I don't want to do it. Think of all the different things that could be blockers for you
Mhm.
doing that, as opposed to, I can't wait to get to the top of that hill. I'm gonna
Right,
and
right.
I'm gonna enjoy this. Actually, that
Mhm.
all kind of fits together, right? I
Totally.
know something, I know there's something great because I've climbed hills before and gotten to the top of them and go, oh, wow, look at I could see so much farther now.
What what keeps you going in you do a lot really well.
Thank you.
Two of the pieces that you do, one is the improv and the other is cooking. And just for the audience, I mean, Mark does a whole lot of things. I'm just picking out two. What keeps you interested in those? Because we talked about, earlier, like our work, that those two pieces are part of your work. What keeps you interested in those? Because, well, let me just leave that there. Let me leave that open.
Um, this gets back to me reminiscing about a lunch I had 30 years ago with my co-founder of Wavefront. And he said to me, I don't remember what the circumstance was. I just remember this sentence. He said, you are not your work. You are so much more than
Mm,
the work.
hmm.
Because my whole self identity was in being the computer animation guy. And that that was 30 years ago, and I'm still remembering. I know exactly where we were sitting,
Hmm.
and all of that. And what happens is I find that it's not the work, it's about me and the work, and it's me relating to the work. And it was a deeper understanding of what about it lights me up, which I think I'm getting to your question. Is like I'm constantly lit. We talk in our house, we talk about being lit, and
Hmm.
it's usually around the cats when they're lit, but we also become lit when we're in a flow state. It's just I'm just lit up because I'm excited to learn this new thing. And I think it's the discovery, it's curiosity, it's how to think like Leonardo da Vinci, which was everything was an opportunity to put all of this into that,
Hmm.
whatever that was at the moment. To your point of me being interested and good at a lot of different things, yeah, I'm an older person, so I've had I have had more reps at stuff, and
Right.
I I'm not. I've challenged many guys who've tried to help me market my stuff, and he goes, "Well, you're this. Okay, let's go down. Well, you're not really. You're this and this and you're this." I would challenge people to kind of follow those things that light you up, and then become. I like the question: what do you want to be great at? What do you want to be known for?
Hmm.
Right? And being intentional around that. So what is it that keeps me okay, here's the other question. Here's the other answer the question. Why haven't I'm gonna be 71 in a couple of weeks. Why am I still doing this? I don't have to do this. So
Right.
why am I just, watching Netflix all day and, traveling around the world and doing all those kinds of things? As opposed to doing the work. So I love see one, do one, teach one, and I'm in
Hmm.
an endless repeat on that.
One of the things I see with you is that you are always bringing in something new and a different perspective into your system, so to speak. One of the things I see out there is people. acting as if something that we've known for 100 years is brand new. And where I'm going with this is it's really good, and I'll stay with the cooking metaphor. It's really good to be able to know how to make bacon and eggs, for instance, because it sustains people. It's like,
Hmm.
or like my Kimberly was out of town this last week, and it was like, okay, well, I'm gonna make the smoothie I make, and if I'm more hungry, I'll have some oatmeal. I mean, it's the basics. What I really want to challenge people at, to let the basics be the basics. Don't act like the basics are this brand new innovative thing. Because when we do that, what we do is we keep ourselves stuck. And I don't know if I'm making any sense whatsoever.
I think let me see if I can put it a different way. As we are growing, when we're younger, 25 to 45, and a new thing, we encounter a new thing, whatever that is, a new thought, a new philosophy, a new
Mhm.
skill, a new whatever new comes into our life. We are enamored with the new, and we think, oh my God, does everybody else know that this thing about this thing, you know? And it could be this basic thing they just never encountered, have not encountered it yet in their life.
Right.
And so they're like, oh my God, this is such a big thing. And now because we have social media and we can amplify that to all of our people, we said, did you guys know you can have bacon and eggs? Oh my God, who does that? Who's had bacon and eggs? And for us elders, we're like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. You could put a little bit of pesto in the eggs too. What? Ah! I mean,
Hmm.
I think that's what's happening. We're seeing more of that. Am I on the right track?
Totally on the right track.
And what happens is because it's so easy to amplify your voice now, and if you are
Yes.
super very certain with that, we have these young people who are influencers, who are self-described gurus, who are, I'm going to teach you how to X. Just fill out my thing and I'm going to teach you how to X. And I've seen you around someone who is trying to teach X, and I remember you whispering specifically in my ear, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And
Right.
to the point of being an elder and reserved, we know when to, zip it and just go, okay, yeah, obviously that person is excited about this thing they know and they want to teach that thing.
Right.
And you know what? I I think it's okay. They are consciously competent, but they're unconsciously incompetent at understanding that they're still just a green belt.
I don't know that that could have been said any better.
Well, when I say stuff like that, that means we're at the end of the show, sir.
Wow. That is yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
And
And
excited to be a green, like, oh my God, I am a green belt. Oh my gosh. I mean, I remember getting my belts. Each one was a major accomplishment. And when I got the black belt, I was like, I'm done. And Grandmaster says, oh, you're just starting.
yeah, you're just starting. Yes.
Hey, I love you, brother.
I love you. This was a great discussion. Thank you so very much.